This is the Ponderous Brick Thinker with a Castle update. And the update is, I'm going to focus on the Tower of Understanding, focusing on the stairs and the idea of them popping out from the side as mentioned in the previous installment. Kind of work on the technology that goes inside. I have a few ideas about that. And then let's see what I can do with those vehicles. The Tower of Understanding has some design goals that I imposed on myself in the beginning. One of them being that this is removable, so that if ever I needed to move the castle, I could take the towers off without having to balance them. It looks steady, but really it's hollow inside, so it was more structural, try to keep this safe. But also, in my previous apartment, it was a smaller desk, and I wasn't sure if I would have enough room to kind of look around the tower, give it the 360 treatment. And with a castle there on the desk, I wouldn't be able to do that. So the idea was I would take off the tower and then I would rotate it. So that feature is not nearly required, but it would be a nice design practice to kind of make this really structurally sound. And as part of that, the stairs are going to need to be also structurally sound, because it's, as of right now, that is going to be a key feature in the shell, the wraparound of the tower. It is going to need to hold itself together, plus other pieces that also hold the tower together. So it is going to be part of the entire design, but also part of the design intentions of the structure. I'm going to start in this corner for the stairs. I have the landing for the second level right there, so it's going to extend out and then have the stairs start wrapping around. So that's the curious part, because I didn't really calculate for the stairs to be out here. I see how the first level stairs went, but since it's I'm going to have more room, I don't know where the stairs are going to end up by the time it gets to the top level. So part of this is going to be a sketch just to see how the stairs, where they are placed as they go up, and there will be an opportunity to see how I can make them structurally sound, how to incorporate the structure into it, and also to make them visually appealing. Okay, so to start, I'm going to remove this part. And what that yellow plate represents is the finished floor of the 8th brick. So it is included in this brick height. And the yellow is temporary. It's just there to represent the floor until I have a final floor idea. So I just need to add 2 support plates, and then I'll be adding this plate to stick out. And then from there, I'm going to put the stairs coming up. I also remove the temporary columns that are going to be in the levels above the first level, so that way the steps can be put up here, and I'll be putting the 2x2 bricks as needed to support the stairs, and see how that looks. The other thing, which I have not really commented on until now, is that I am planning on using the 2x4 plates of the medium azul, because this is the color of the new architecture. It makes sense to have this as a primary source of the steps. However, I do have a castle to finish, and I don't know if I for sure don't have as of right now for all of the remaining towers. And so the idea now is to color combine, use other blues to help create the steps. I did plan on using a actual blue 2x4, but right now my collection only has 4x4 blue. So it is going to be a combination of this, and I believe this is dark azul. So it's going to be alternating in color. I'm going to see how that looks, especially since this is going to be a different take. So those are going to be creating the steps at least for the water level. And then I'll go to another color combination for the air and then for the fire. So I learned a lot from this sketch. The most important being is that I like the effect of having the stairs pop out from the wall. And the second being is that this corner is going to be more important than I first realized. The reason being is that all of a sudden the stairs pop out, so I need to kind of explain why that is. And that might be just having a combination of the new architecture all the way to the base and somehow develop it from there that is where the stairs are emerging from. The third thing I discovered, and it was a happy accident, is by having the 4x4 plates here, there is opportunity to include some plates inserted there on the very last stud. That is where I have the wall. So that way the wall is sticking out, well, not in that example, but a little bit more in there so that the stud is here, and that is where the wall is for the stairs. And that way, this can be much stronger rather than relying on a single row of studs to support the steps. The other thing is the actual blocking of the mass of the steps. I am guessing it's going to be 8 bricks high just to be continuous. That is directly above the steps. And that way, I can have maybe the blue color continue upward so that it mixes with the air and then the air mixes with the red. So that way some of the color continues up. I am probably going to have to look at that because that only occurs at this level because everything else is original architecture. I don't have the opportunity to put it there, but we'll see if there's a place for that effect. And now I'm going to continue. Right now it's just 4 bricks high, so I need 4 more up that way, and we'll see where that leads. And it's still 2 studs out from the wall. I pause the progress here just to show the corner, as with the other corner in the stair. It is a full 4x4 space, and then the stairs continue. So I just overlap the plates so that it can support the new direction of the stairs. Also of note, here it's not a perfect square. It kind of it pushes out. So I'm just going to follow that as best I could, but we'll see when we get there. Here's the foundation of the stairs for the water level. It does have this kind of thing because that's the shape of the floor plan. So we'll see how it looks. It does get kind of close to the Tower of Immersion. Unexpected, but it could be a nice feature. The only thing is, I wonder if it's impractical to rotate this, but if this would be really cool, it should have been on this side. Right now it's going to be more or less something like this, a simple going up, because there's no corners to go around except for here. But we'll get through it. But this is how it looks with, at least here, my guess, the fire level is also going to have this going on, but we'll see. And also, by the time it gets to the fire level, I'm going to have to see if the platforms for the bedrooms are going to need to be moved because the height of the stairs needs to happen. So I'll see what I can do with regarding those. So the next step is to go ahead and put back the temporary columns so that I can see how it looks with this kind of thing going on. It might need to be revised a bit. Maybe it's kind of hard because I would have thought rotate the stairs so you go up this way and then go that way. But basically, only one step might be doing that, but we'll see. I placed the temporary bricks here to represent the stair height along this path here. And because of that, I can see it's not quite immediately obvious why I need to do this. If I build out the lower level walls, then it might make sense, but that's still a big if. What it is, it's kind of distracting that it's all of a sudden pushing away when I don't yet have a reason as to why it's doing that. So I'm going to continue and then just, a refresher as to why it's doing that. It's the interior stairs of the original architecture. It kind of points out through here. And so it's pushing this level out, so it makes sense for all the other walls to follow suit. And since the stairs are wrapping around the wall, it's really pushing it out there. So it is a matter of if it's going to make sense when I'm going to continue and see how that looks. But if it doesn't, I might have to change the first level so that it kind of makes sense. Otherwise, it's going to be a distraction as to why is this all of a sudden pushing out. It is more simple to keep it a square. That way it's easy to understand the pattern that you have the wall and then you just have the stairs wrapping around it. But a little too much might be happening there, but we'll see. So it's a good thing this is still in sketch mode. I placed the stairs 4 bricks height worth to just show the progress. Nothing too dramatic happened. It was pretty much straightforward. I just need to keep account of what height the stairs are to correspond to the height of these stairs, at least the under part of their plates. But overall it's there. So I just need to extend it a little bit more and then around the corner, and it might end up around here. We'll see. I don't think I realized I described what the colors were for the air level. It is the bright orange. I don't have any 4x4 plates, so I used 2 2x4s to build basically the bottom part of the stairs. Then it's a standard yellow in the middle, 2x4, and then a light yellow on top, 2x4 also. See, on the preview screen it's really bright, but makes a rather nice combination. Okay, moving on. So here's something that I should have realized sooner. In my defense, I was sick, but maybe you realized it before I did. And right now, can you tell? I really don't need stairs for the fire section. Otherwise, you end up on the roof, which is not a terrible idea, but I don't need it because with this case of stairs, I'm at the fire level, which is the top floor of the tower, is also where the bedrooms are. So I have choices, which are to put the bedrooms on top, which then will be almost in competition with the Tower of Immersion. I really did want to make a dramatic jump in height so that I need something smaller to kind of say, yeah, this is much larger. Just going up might not be the best solution. I can still have the bedrooms here and also have the staircase of the fire, so that way it's more or less unified in concept where the stairs are going. But we'll see. Yeah, so I'm going to continue with the stairs, put the temporary walls here so I can kind of visualize how the shape of the tower is coming along, and then go from there. And then lastly will be, where are the bedrooms going to be? For the stairs for the fire level, I tried different combinations of color, starting with the red and the orange and trying to see what would be the best match to represent the fire. This by far is the most fire related. I did not want to use the yellow and the light yellow because I used those for the air level and I didn't want to kind of mix that up. But if I go with this, I think this would be the best color combination to represent fire. These were interesting, but quite not fire. And the white, I was just thinking of the intensity of fire, but also at the same time, the white is part of the rock formations, and I did not want to get those mixed up. The other thing I forgot to do for something here, it's between the water and the air level, how to approach that particular level for the air. The switch off is right here, meaning that this is the 8 brick height, and the entry into the level should be in the corner. I'll figure that out. As it is, it kind of seems that the water level is the longest stairway because of these turns. I needed time, a space for the characters to move around in, so it's not a straight shot as the air level, which honestly it seems because the earth does wrap around a little bit more, but if you start at the corner, this is how much stair is needed. If I also go with a square tower without having this extra right here, that is as much I would expect for a level to use in terms of how much wall it needs to get to its point. So right now I'm just going to continue with the fire and see where I end up, and I'm still going to think about the bedrooms. The fire stairs are now in place. That's how they look. And it looks very promising. I think I will keep it that it needs the fire stairs. I'm gonna put in the temporary columns so that I can see how it looks more or less, and kind of decide or start to think about what I'm gonna do with the bedrooms, because I don't want it to go too tall, because here's the entrance, and having it go taller would very much make that entrance seem much smaller. When I first made this, it seemed big enough, because it was definitely bigger than what I made my early castles, and so now it's kind of getting lost, and I don't want to really make this taller, so I'll have to see if a way of somehow incorporating the bedrooms along the width. We'll find out. But for now, we have a stairway that a Lego person can use to go from the ground floor all the way to the ceiling or roof. So let me put those temporary bricks in place. The temporary bricks that represent where the tower mass is going to be they're there. However, I am curious as to if I put the enclosure around the stairs, how will that look for the roof? It could be a feature. It could be like roof garden maybe, just so I can put some more plants in this garden tower, a garden castle, and that's how you get to that level. I'm gonna put a few more and see how it compares to that. And let's see if there's any thought about the bedrooms. I rather like it to have the stair enclosure to extend beyond the roof of the building and be able to just kind of wrap itself around it and extend upward. And so the only thing I see kind of iffy is this right here. I don't see a lower one to kind of justify why it's doing that up there from this angle. So maybe for the earth level, I'll do a similar enclosure to extend outward. So that way there at least is a pattern, and it will meet up with this over here that starts with the new architecture and the water level. So considering that this is going to be an open roof garden area, it's unlikely I'm going to put bedrooms there. I do see this, so we'll see. I just need to think about it more, and it'll probably come to me as I get used to this shape, and then I'll be able to say, yep, A bedroom can go out like this or like this. Definitely not that. It's gonna be too tall once it gets there, so um, we'll see. Maybe the stairs can help in terms of whenever it starts a new level, a bedroom can be inserted there, but it's gonna be very crowded in this corner to kind of say, yeah, there's gonna be a bedroom, maybe this direction. And then one right here. It's just because the stairs are not consistent as to where they start and stop. The bedrooms are not also going to be inconsistent in terms where they're going to be and what logical reason that might be. It's not going to be very obvious. So I'm just going to pause here on the exterior of the Tower of Understanding, and I'm going to start off some sketches for the interior laboratories. Before moving on to the technology, I do want to point out that I have been looking at the temporary columns here and the spacings in between just to note what will work to have a good view inside the tower. I do want it fully enclosed, but I just want to have a view that is showing what's going on inside. And this part right here is 3 studs wide. And that's the beginning. I think what I'm going to aim for is try and see what a 6 stud wide clearance is, and then surrounded by single stud clearance. That will mean I will need some transparencies. I know I have some too wide. Maybe that will have to work instead, but at least then, so light can come in through here, through the 6 stud opening. It's like a slice through the entire building. That way light comes in and I can see what's going on through this one or the other ways. Just so that it's not completely enclosed, but I do kind of like the vertical lines that are happening that just happen to be there because for the temporary bricks. But I think that's the way I'm going to go for that one. Okay, so now the technology. So for the technology, I'm re-examining the donut here, which in the previous episode, it was established to be about 8 bricks tall or wide, and that would have interfered with just the spacing on the floor. If I made it vertical, it'll barely make it into the layer or the floor that it's going to go into the tower. So I thought, okay, maybe if I just use 4, then I could have 1 for each vehicle, because that's how it comes out to. Having exactly enough as of right now for the 4 layers or the 4 floors of the tower. So doing this 4 times, I will have 16. I'm planning on having maybe 12 vehicles, we'll see, but basically it's not going to be 18 because that I have 9 members, 9 vehicles, so it'll be 1 for each vehicle. But let's see what we can do with 4. And with 4, I'm thinking of something like this. So it's kind of meeting at a point, and in here, they can place a brick to examine. That kind of situation. So as of right now, it's not going to be including the antenna. But for right now, it's going to be, let's see what we can do with just these. And so part of this work is that this is Technic, purely Technic. There's no places for Lego studs to go into, so I'm going to need to have a way to go from Technic into Lego so that they can be properly merged. I do have these pieces where it has the Technic cross. I'll be able to insert, and then these are like the in-between. They have the Technic hole and then the Lego brick studs, so that at least it's connected, but also can rotate. So I'm not certain of right now if I want to rotate. Just because it's going to be inside the tower, it's not going to be interacted with. And if something happens to the tower and becomes a little jolted, it can rotate on its own. So I'm not too keen on this one. But also there's this gap which I'm not sure what to do with. So the other option is to use these Tecna connectors. They have the crosshair. I'll be able to insert and then use these types of in between. They have the crosshairs and the Lego studs. So at least I have this, which I'm able to secure. It's not going to rotate. And then the next step would be to attach it to the plate. And so I have this situation where if this can be secured, then I can attach them. So let's see, if I have these hinges, maybe like that, just so that I can rotate it to meet at a certain point. So for example, I go here, it can go forward as much as it needs to in order to catch the brick up here. So I have that. Let me do the other side. And then it's the studs are out, pointing outward this way. And let's just do this so it can be symmetrical. Let's see how that looks. So something like that. So even just 2 is doable. Okay, so let's see what happens with the other 2 to complete 4. Like this, I believe. Yeah. And here. There we go. So that way, something like that. So we have this set up. So that's great. I do want it not have it perfectly on grid. It does seem that it's floating if it's off grid. Or it's like this part right here is not attached to the system, so it's what is being examined. It's kind of floating there. Let's see, a 2x4 looks even more off grid, so that works. But a smaller one, I was kind of wondering about that. So I could have a little table, which could be this, kind of just make it look technology. And is it gonna fit? There we go. It's pushing the noodles apart, the macaronis. So maybe not that one. By the time they can kind of be at where they need to be, that is already below. So I don't know if they make transparent Technic pieces. That would be interesting. Just so that, yeah, that would be nice if they were some in existence. Just so that it can add to the overall effect. There we go. To make it look like it's technology. And then a smaller piece can be, oops, a smaller piece can be in there and still be supported. So all that can be functioned. And this one I'm not too keen on in terms of covering it, just because it's going to be, and that's another thought I have not really thought about, is in terms of how am I going to interact with the lab? Like, really, I'm not planning on playing with it. Maybe a movie if I ever have the time, but so for example, let's say this is on a rod, and I can slide it up and down, so it comes down and helps analyze the piece. But if I leave it like this and I put it in the tower, you can't really see what's going on. Even from the side, it's kind of being covered. So I like it being open. So it's kind of, that's where the intention is. Now, if I have, oh, maybe not that one. Will this grab it? Yeah. Okay, so if I have something off to the side, and I forgot how many I have of these, maybe two of them, this can work. It still reveals what's going on. It does point to the piece, and it's like that's what's under examination. So I like that part, or this arrangement better. I'll just have to figure out how to combine these Technic pieces so that it can be like a dentist light, where it comes off and it can be positioned and stays there. Something like that. So I'm more liking that than the donut. But for the Lego people, it's kind of high. And as of right now, I use these to represent the temporary floor. So it's okay if part of the examination device is below the floor, as long as it seems reachable. Seems still too high by the Lego people. And then one more. This one seems better. So I'll figure out how to position them. But yes, that looks, it's on the same level. That's where you want to put your hands, to put that thing there. I think that's the way to go. I'll have to see what I can do to make this more industrial. And to fit inside the tower. Just so that it's looks a little bit nice. I do have the grids, but these I would need to support them somewhere and then extend them. They not exactly quite right what I'm looking for, but I'll have to check what I do have. And then that will be pretty much, this will be the focus of the lab. I'll still need to figure out what I'm going to do for display screens and other ways to signify this is technology. Okay, so we have that going on height-wise. This is 8. Doable. This 8th one is going to include the upper floor. So it might be a brick and a plate. So a plate less, and it's going to be very close. Okay, so other thing to examine is, do we need... I don't think we need it. Let's see how it looks with just a 1x2 brick with horizontal studs. Put it there. That... it reduces it by, I would say, 1 full brick height. That was just happened to be there. I do wonder, does having a mess on your table help you or distract you? For me, it helps. Or it doesn't distract me. So I just need to find what I'm looking for, but this is something I'm used to, I guess, from my earlier days. I guess I'll have to find more of those. No, not that one. Okay, let me see if I can find more. All right, so 1x2 with horizontal studs. And I don't think it's getting in the way. So maybe, okay. Let's see, and then this side. Okay. Oh yes, so this one, it's still within range, but can be 1 brick lower. I think so. I think that still works. So I would still say this, a brick underneath and the plate will be part of the 8th brick height. Then this would be 1 more in. And so that way the pattern can continue, that this is still for the support of the next level. And it will not be in the way of Hank, at least. Quadridge is going to reside in the Tower of Understanding for nefarious reasons. Now barely clear, but it's better than where it was. I think that'll be okay. It's hard to say without a different color in there. Okay, so that's this is the support. And then maybe 1 plate lower or higher. That would clear. If I keep everything above this height, everything will be good. Okay. So, yes, so right now this is the focal point for the lab. I'll need to figure out the other parts, but this is a good starting point in terms of how to arrange the space inside it. Okay, now moving on to the vehicles. So for the vehicle, I'm going to, for this round of sketching, interpret it as a motorcycle. Something that's compact, something that can attach itself to the mini tower so that it does not appear out of place, and made of parts that I can make a lot of, considering that I'm still building my collection. So, the bottom here, or the base here, are made of several brackets. This is what I had in white, and this part was previously constructed in a prior episode. I combined them with the 1x2 with a crosshair Technic piece just to hold it in place and also have a place for the bracket to be on. So it was something like this. And then another bracket to be right here. And then another bracket right here. So I am going under and supporting it. I would not do this with my original collection, just because from wear and tear, the brackets may not hold as well, but these are brand new and they're gripping tight, which is cool and what I want. So this is just one way of putting it together. What I like is that for beta, the claws are where the controls will be. So part of the question is how are they going to get in there, since the original launch position is going to be like this, vertical. And I'm thinking something like this on both sides. I would like for it to continue the line, or the kind of, it's a imaginary cylinder that all of this is going to be within. Something like that. I'm not sure if it should be on the bottom, but something like this I think will work. I just need to connect it. And the wind screen, well, maybe like, will be like that, like a motorcycle. It works for beta, but the reason I did this kind of configuration was for Quadridge, since he has a tail and really long legs. So we'll see where I can put the windscreen, but something interesting to look at. So that means everyone will be able to fit in the same design. I'm interested maybe coming from like that. I'll see if I can find a way to bring it forward so that well, maybe beta can fit there. It'll be just the most the head really in there in the bubble, and everyone else will be kind of behind that, but that might work. Again, just like a motorcycle. The way that we'll get on, I'm thinking it's going to be for the mini towers. I am thinking not like a actual, the wall will be here for the main body of the tower, but these might be more minimal in terms of structure, so that it almost looks like the early days of the rocket launch pads, where it's a bare skeleton tower, metal frame, that would the rocket would attach to. And so I'm thinking these mini towers might be more skeletal and with walkways, so that they can go around and then be able to launch up. So that in this case, you have your main tower fully constructed, except where the mini towers are, they're going to be more bare, minimal. I'm I'll look into using Technic, but again, it will have to be, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one on top. 5 mini towers that I would need to be able to find enough of the same kind of brick and Technic piece so that it kind of has a cohesive look to it. So we'll be looking into that and then experimenting more with this concept. Just because I think this is the way to go. It doesn't have to be a full vehicle that has to be airtight. I think that was kind of holding me back or kind of being more of an issue than when it shouldn't have to be, or it doesn't have to be. So that somehow like this, just following it, make it part of the architecture until it launches away. So that will be it for this episode. Thank you for stopping by. If you liked the episode, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you want to see how this project progresses, go ahead and subscribe and sign up for notifications, and see you next time.